All right, good morning and good afternoon, everybody, to the folks on the East Coast. Thanks for joining another Sedaru Live webinar. We'll let folks make their way in here. I can see everybody signing in, so we'll give everybody a second. Thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your Monday to join us. Like most of these webinars, we're going to try to keep the content to 20 to 30 minutes. Want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time, and also give you plenty of time to ask questions and to get as much information as possible out of this. I usually start these webinars by giving you a quick 20-second Zoom tutorial on where to find things and to do it. But I feel like in this day and age, everybody's quickly becoming a Zoom expert. But for those that are kind of new to doing it, you'll notice you'll have, for these webinars, there's a spot up on your sort of menu bar where there's Q&A, and you can hit on that and type your questions in, and we're going to answer those questions as we're going along. If you have other feedback, feel free to use the chat window in there. Everybody that's on here that's attending is on mute, so your way to interact is through that Q&A or through the chat window, and I'll see those pop up on my interface as we go through here. The couple of things, if you don't already, look for us on social media. We like to reach out over email and to give you more information about these webinars and other information, but we also pretty actively push that information out through social media. So it's another great way to stay in touch with us and to see the latest and greatest. So look for us on LinkedIn, look for us on Facebook and Twitter as well there too for all your information. We've got a really big group of folks here today. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for all the hard work that everybody's doing during this COVID-19 time, and really making sure that all the critical infrastructure that we all depend on is humming along, and all the great work that you guys are doing. It's really interesting if you look at all the folks that are attending today. We've got people from all over the country. We've got folks from some of the largest water utilities in the country. We've got folks attending from smaller kind of rural community sewer districts as well too. So it's I think it's important for us to all remember, whether you're a large or a big utility, we're all in this together. We've all got things to learn from one another as well too. And I think it's really a nice it's a nice testament to our community and to our industry. So thank you, everybody. We're gonna spend our time here today talking about sewer collection systems and how to optimize maintenance of sewer collection systems using Sedaru. So I think it's I think a very exciting topic, and I think there's lots of ways that when we all look at how we're doing things on a day-to-day basis, that there's always room for improvement, and I think we've got a few things to offer to help you there as well too. We talk about with Sedaru this idea of drops, and this is really the Sedaru roadmap for how do you become a automated, self-driving, smart utility. And it's a stepwise process for just about everybody. Running these utilities, we make evolutionary changes. We don't make revolutionary changes typically. And so this brings you on a stepwise process. And we're really going to kind of focus on the first half of this for the most part for this webinar. We're going to be focused on the digital and real-time piece, and then how you're sort of optimizing some of those operations and pieces in here. But thinking about what's the smarter way that you're going to manage all these collection system tasks and work orders and other pieces, and then do a better job with that. So I'm going to hop right into the software here. That we can kind of take a look and see how things work and kind of navigate you through. And then I'm going to also hop into the field solution as well, so you can see what that perspective might look like for somebody from the field. And as I said before, feel free to use the chat functions and the Q&A functions, and go ahead and fire away with your questions as we're going through this. And we'll get those answered. I typically find the more questions you have, the better these are. We can kind of really drill into a lot of things, and so don't be shy. So what you're looking at right here is what is the Sedaru Omni interface. And so Sedaru Omni is primarily based as an office interface, but this is the place where you're going to see all the data from your system come together. And you're going to get to see that in one place. And it's a GIS-driven interface, especially when we're talking about managing a collection system. Let me zoom in here, and you can kind of see more of what's going on. And you're going to want to be able to see all those assets. You want to interact with them and work with them on an easy-to-use interface. And that's what Sedaru Omni is designed to let you be able to bring all that information together, see it in one place, and to work with it. Across the top, you have what are called performance tiles. And these performance tiles are really where you can define all the key performance indicators that matter to you. And so a lot of this can be built around managing work and tasks. And it can be also geared into kind of key metrics that you want to see. And we'll, after I kind of go through the field interface, I'll show you some of those pieces in there as well too, and how you can use those to manage your system. So we're looking at a sewer collection system here. I can come in and I can click on a set of assets, and that's what I've done here. And you see I've got a manhole, and I can see the information about that manhole right from here. I also selected on a couple of pipes, and so I can see that information right from here as well too. So I can click on a pipe, I can see all the data from this. This is designed to interact directly with your Esri GIS. And so I won't get into all the sort of technical architecture of it, but there's a bunch of different ways that you can essentially have this integrated to your GIS and to be able to be looking at that information. One of the key things that we care about with Sedaru is the ability to really help you reduce data silos within your organization, right? So GIS is certainly one of those huge information sources, and so we want to tie into that existing GIS, not be another GIS. So this is all built off of Esri technology and working with that. So I can come here, I can select and see information about any of my assets that are in here. I can come in, I can, in this case, see a lateral. I can see information about that and have all that data there that's available to me. If I'm at a particular asset and I want to assign work to it, and this is really, when you think about how do I assign work and complete it, it's certainly one of the key pieces of information or key steps to being able to do those pieces quickly. So here I selected a manhole, and there's a little icon right here. I can just come in and say, I want to choose what kind of work do I want to do here. So I'm coming here to this manhole, and maybe I just want to do a manhole inspection in here. And you notice there's a list of different types of work that I can do. Sedaru is designed as an asset-centric system, okay? And so that means that when I do work and activities, I'm typically applying those directly to the asset. So I want to be able to know over time, okay, how much work have I done in this manhole, or these particular sections of pipe, what kind of maintenance has been done, whether it's cleaning or repair work. And so all the tasks and things that you do are going to be tied directly to that. So I'll choose manhole inspection. I'm just going to go ahead and assign it to myself. I could assign it to multiple people in here as well too. If I wanted to, assign it to quite a few people, I could do that as well too. I'll hit the little assign button down here. If I'm doing some things that are in response to a customer request or some of those issues, I could fill in customer related information here. And I can put in, when do I want this activity to actually start? So I could pre-schedule things out for a later date. And then there's also recurrence options that are available in here as well too, which we'll go and do some pipe cleaning tasks, and we can kind of talk about that there too. But once I've put some of that basic information in, I can go in and I can go ahead and say, hey, I've created my work order. And that's designed to be, as simple as possible, right? It really is designed so that your folks that are scheduling and doing this work shouldn't have to be technical experts. They shouldn't have to be geniuses at using the computer to be able to complete your day-to-day tasks and to be able to do that simply. We'll pop into the field interface here in a minute, and we'll take a look at that, what that assigned piece of work looks like. The other way that I can assign tasks to people or to do things, or a couple other ways, but one, I can go in and I can select groups of assets as well too. So on my Omni interface here, I'm just going to draw a little box as I go here, and select a whole bunch of assets, right? So if you're thinking about, geographically, like I want to assign a whole bunch of pipe cleaning tasks or those sort of things, I can do that. I can group assign things from here too. So you see I've selected a whole series of manholes, 37 different laterals, 4 pipes, 1 key customer account here. But really what I care about is the pipes. So I'm just going to look at those pipes. And I like this in the interface when you select a lot of assets. You see the little yellow piece moves around as I move my mouse, right? So I can hover over these assets. I can kind of quickly see where they go there. And I'll come in here. And the same thing, now I'm on a pipe, and you notice my list of work types has changed, right? Because it's specific to pipe. So we're going to look at just at pipe cleaning. I'm going to assign these again to myself. So we'll do that. But let's say here, and this is certainly a collection system issue that we all face, is dealing with kind of hotspots or routine cleanings that we know in problematic areas. So here, this might be a set of tasks that I'm going to come in. I'm going to set up some frequency and say, once every month on the, we'll say on the 6th day of every month, it's going to start today. And I'll put an end date in here sometimes too, because one of the things that's always tricky is figuring out when you have hotspots, do they ever come off your list, right? So I like to not put them out into an infinite amount of time. And then I can kind of decide, what do I want to do with past due ones? Do I want to keep them or not keep them? But we'll save that, and I'll go ahead and I'll create that work order. And so now that's created this recurring pipe maintenance task. So you can think about what your current operations look like around pipe cleaning. And one of the things you can do initially when you're setting up all your work orders here in Sedaru is to be able to kind of come in and set all those recurring tasks up and kind of get all those workflows set up and managed in a way that you want. The other way that I can select things to assign work and to do it is by using these, using my performance tiles up here. And I'll show you some other examples of this, but if I go ahead and I click on a task in here, right? And it's going to automatically select the 3 items for me as well too. So you see the little yellow dot kind of move around as I move my mouse around. And so you have that same kind of ability that with the key performance indicators, I can say, hey, I want to look at, all my pipes that have a certain defect, or I want to look at all open tasks that haven't been created, or I want to look at, pump station rounds that haven't been completed in the last month, or all those kind of things. And I can use those performance indicators to kind of be able to select and to navigate and to see things. One of the other things I really like about the Omni interface here is you could see the location of everything on the map. So it's really easy from a management perspective to get a big picture view and to kind of quickly see stuff that's in here. You might notice in here this grouping of polygons. We're not going to get into this webinar, but if you go back through our webinar archive, and we might repeat it at some point in the future, you can also use Sedaru for managing all your one-call locates as well too. So that can be tied into those regional one-call systems, and you can see that information right from here as well too. So let me, I'm going to hop into the field interface so you guys can take a look at that. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to stop sharing here and share. I'm going to do this from my iPad. I could run this from a Windows device as well too, but it's kind of fun to show the iPad. Hang on, I'll pop into that real quick. All right. You guys can see my iPad here in a second, pop up on screen. There we go. All right. You see that the field interface here is the field interface. Like I said, I'm looking at it from an iPad. It's going to, in real time, update tasks that are assigned to me. And the field interface is designed to be as simple and as easy as possible for folks to use. Again, you really, from a field perspective, want things to be as straightforward as possible. And so what the folks in the field can do is they can touch on these tiles, and it's going to show them work that's been assigned to them. So I touch on this manhole task, and you see I've got 15 manhole tasks that are assigned to me. And whoops, I got 15 manhole tasks that are assigned to me, and I can see those right on the map. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to actually see a listing of them as well, too. So I kind of see it in a tabular form. I see it on the map as well, too. If I use my fingers, I'm just going to zoom in and out on the map so I can kind of pinch and zoom, just like everybody's used to. You know, the ability for field staff to use iPads in the field and to use tablets has worked really well. And folks can really take advantage of those things quite a bit. If I'm just going to zoom in now to one of these tasks, and I can actually select the task by just touching right on the item there, and it's going to show me information about that manhole. You can have your own kind of field view for this as well too, so you don't have to overwhelm your field staff with all the data. But then I can come in and I can say start, and it's now going to let me go ahead and complete the task in here. And so here I can fill out any information that I want. What's interesting is that you have the ability with every time that you do or set up tasks within here, you can customize it to whatever workflows make sense for you, right? So we can have sort of a set of standard kind of workflows, or you have the ability to customize all of these to whatever works best for you. So some folks might want to do a manhole inspection that is pretty detailed. As you see, this one has got a lot of information to collect in here. Or you might have something that just has 5 or 6 fields. It's all up to you, and you make it as easy as possible. One of the things I like about this particular form, though, is there's not a lot of typing involved, right? And you get really standardized results as you go through here. So we've all seen reports and other sort of data collection where people end up jamming a lot of information into comment fields, and you can't actually see exactly what is. It's hard to search and to get all the information out of there properly. So we're just going to couple more fields in here. We'll say, and then you see here that I can go ahead and add pictures of things as well too. So really important when you're doing field data collection that you can grab pictures and do it. So I'm just going to use the camera on the device. Maybe we'll take a picture of me. We'll snap that right in there. We'll use the photo. And so now that becomes part of that record in there. And then I can go ahead and save that. You also have the ability with any of these tasks to also set up time, equipment, materials within there as well too. So if you want to do full tracking of all that information, I can do that information right from here. My name's highlighted right in here already, but since the work was already going to me. And so we'll say I was here for 3/4 of an hour, let's say. So I'll put that in there and I'll save that, save my time in there. I could do similar thing for materials and equipment and some of that information right from within there as well too. And I'm going to go ahead and save this out. And then you notice on the screen it turns green right away, right? So again, really fast feedback right to the right to some of the field staff to be able to see exactly what's happening, exactly what's going on. We've had a bunch of questions come in, so let me grab a couple of questions in here. So let's see. One of the questions in here is, can you use this in a disconnected editing state where there's not Wi-Fi or field mobile stuff? So really good question. The short answer is yes. So there's really 2 ways in which the field application operates. The kind of default method is that it can work partially disconnected, right? So it uses an internet connection to get the maps and the information. Your work orders all get downloaded to the device. And then if you lose internet connectivity, it stores that information on the device. And then once you get your cell service back, it automatically uploads it. And that works really well for most applications, right? For when you think about like where you've got cell connectivity and some of that, it works well. Especially like if you think about doing lift station inspections, right? You might have great cell service right outside that lift station. You go down underground, and suddenly you have no service, right? So it works good, really good for that. But you can also set up and work in a fully disconnected mode as well too. So, and in the fully disconnected mode, it's actually downloading all the maps. There's more of a synchronization process that goes on. It still is all pretty seamless from the field perspective. It just takes a little more setup. And then we're typically recommending a little bit beefier devices that have more memory and some of those pieces, because you are downloading a lot more information directly to the device. But working offline is totally totally capable. But a question here about the details of a manhole inspection. Yeah, so I just walked through that, that example in here. And like I said, and I think somebody had asked too, is it NASCO compliant on some of those things, right? So the software itself is not NASCO certified per se to take sort of direct information on that, but like on a manhole inspection side of things, you can certainly set up a fully NASCO compliant manhole inspection in there if you want. It's really up to you what fields you want to collect, what data you want to use, so you can use some of those things as a starting point, modify them to what makes sense for you. It's really up to you. So let's see, one of the other questions that had come in. So when you select an asset for cleaning or inspection, what does the operator that will be doing the work receive? Okay, map, general description, gotcha. So yeah, so a couple things that are kind of neat with that. So this field interface is what that person in the field would say. And like I said, can be pretty customized to what the information they might get is. And let me go into something different here, actually. Let's go in and take a look at this pipe clean task, right? So I've got a whole bunch of pipe cleaning tasks in here as well, too. And I don't know if one of these shows it or not. Well, so you can see, and again, it's really up to you what information you want to show the field staff. So I can have the work order configured that's going to show me all the customer information, like if it's in response to a customer complaint. I can see the customer information. I can see what the customer actually said and see how to handle and do all those pieces. And I can see that right from here. So here again is sort of this fairly detailed manhole inspection, or pipe cleaning task where I can put all the information I want in there. One of the things that's neat with this, so you see here, it's going to show me the footage cleaned, right? So we're using the GIS, we're using some of the spatial information that's already in here, and it's pre-populating information, right? So I can go in and it automatically knows, okay, hey, this was a 9-foot long section of pipe. We've gone ahead and cleaned 9 feet. This could be set up so that you can manually change it as well too, so that if it wasn't what you were, if it wasn't the exact information that you had, the length wasn't right, or you hit a blockage in there and you couldn't do it, then you would, then you could change it right on the fly there. Hang on one second, everybody. Go for it. How's everybody doing with their kids learning at home? Is it all going good out there? So it's I'm getting no shortage of questions coming from them on a day-to-day basis as well too. All right. So let me hit a couple other questions here. CCTV inspections in here. Yeah, so lots of different ways to kind of think about how you want to manage CCTV inspections, right? So the trucks that you're going to do your camera inspections on are going to all have their own software that you're collecting that data from there, right? And be able to pull that information in. And so there's really different workflows that you can do, and I'll kind of show you here in the field. I'm going to just go to a particular piece of pipe here, and I'm going to come here and do a CCTV setup. So one of the things, the most common, easiest way that folks manage their CCTV inspections in here is I can quickly go in here, hit the pipe that I'm doing, say, hey, here I'm going and doing a CCTV inspection. Then in the truck, they follow their normal process, right? So you get some very simple overall reporting on when it got done, where the crews are, how much of their daily sort of assignments have been done. I can assign all the segments of pipe that I want CCTV through here. Then depending on the CCTV software that you're using can depend how I can view and integrate and look at the results, right? So we could do things like hyperlink to the video. You can actually like link up defect information if you wanted to. So let's say you're using something like GraniteNet or one of those applications, and the data's actively stored in a set of tables that can be accessed through the GIS. We can actually use a set of services or a table view and some other ways, and you can see the data or the results of the information right from here. So there's literally 5 or 6 different ways to kind of skin the cat on that, but you can certainly use Sedaru as kind of the overall management tool for some of the CCTV information. Let's see. Yeah, so contractors and subcontractors to work order. Yeah, so you can assign things to people. So I mean, that list of who's assigned to stuff is really up to you. We have customers that use their sort of third-party contractor support staff might access Sedaru, so you could assign the work orders directly through that. They just have to have a license, right? So Sedaru's licensed on a named user basis. You would have to assign a license to them. But we, from a licensing perspective, allow you to use your utility licensing for the benefit of the utility. And if that means a contractor's using it or one of your employees, that's fine. It's just up to, it's up to you to be able to do that. Somebody asked a couple of questions about mobile devices and what you can use, right? So we do have a great phone interface as well too. So the phone interface looks a lot like the iPad interface, except you kind of toggle back and forth between the map and the like work history and the fields that you're filling out. So again, depending on the tasks that you're doing, like if I was doing lift station tasks or things related around that, let me see if I have a lift station. I do have one. So like here, I'm going to go in and just grab a lift station. I got a lift station inspection in here task. And so I can drill in and look at that, and I'm going to pull that up, and you see all the information here I have about the lift station, right? And all the fields that I want to get filled out in here. And so the lift station task, I might just have a phone in my hand to do that with, right? And maybe that's easier than having an iPad like carried around a neck while you walk down a ladder versus, to get into that lift station versus, just having it on the phone. And so I can figure that out right from there as well too. In general, in terms of mobile devices for field crews, we see the most success with the iOS devices. They've worked really, really well. We have a lot of folks that use Windows devices because that's what their IT asks them to do. And you can only fight so many battles and so many fronts, I find, in the course of a day. And so you can fully use a Windows 10 device and use that out in the field. But the iOS devices tend to be the most reliable. They have sort of the least amount of moving parts. They're really affordable in comparison. You throw a ruggedized case on them, and it really is really work great. So we generally want to, there are having folks do those kind of things. That's our general recommendation, I would say. Let's see. I'm going to switch back. I'm going to switch off the iPad here. One of the questions also was around can previous data be brought into here? I'm going to let's see. I'm just going to share my screen. So yeah, your historical data can be brought in. Here's the trick. Here's the trick with historical data, right? Is that the historical data, as long as it's asset-based data already, then it's pretty straightforward to bring it in. There's some tricks and there's the devil's in the details on some of it, right? But in general, if I want to take histories of line cleaning or histories of manhole inspections, and all those things are tied to assets, then it's pretty straightforward to bring those in. You got to be careful with things like manhole naming conventions and some of that stuff. I mean, I've seen and been through lots of projects where somebody decided it was a really good idea to just rename all the manholes because that new way made sense. And you could spend weeks and months arguing about what's the best way to name manholes. So you have to be careful of that kind of thing, of not changing up all the IDs and then trying to make it work. But it's all very doable for the most part. Talking about service requests from a property owner, like how would you handle some of those things? So a couple different different ways you can handle those pieces. One of the easiest things is to just kind of I can come in on my map here, and we'll zoom in. We'll go to a specific spot or location on the map, and and I can come in and I can assign work right from here. So here, somebody wants to do a lateral inspection or repair, and I can go in and I can put that information in, assign it. I can put the customer information in, contact information, description of the event, comments, and all of those things would show up right in my right in there. Now, Sedaru doesn't have a customer-facing piece to it. It's designed to be a tool for the utilities to use. That being said, it is also pretty straightforward to tie Sedaru into a whole bunch of the kind of citizen requests, citizen complaint management systems that are out there, and to be able to pull that information directly into here as well. So that we've helped folks with those kind of things quite a bit throughout the years. Let me show you a little bit of what some of the other kind of pieces of reporting might look like and how you can use and do some of this. So you have this map view that shows you all the shows you the map, right? Shows you the spatial kind of view of things and what's been completed. But I can switch to my trend view here, and I can go grab one of these performance tiles. I'm just going to grab from the top here, and I'm going to drag it down in here, and then it's going to actually build a report right for me, right from here for me. And so here I can now look at this and I can see, okay, here's what CCTV footage has looked like for the past month. I can see here that I have done 17,000 feet. That's 6,000 more feet than the month before that, a 55% increase. So I love that you can kind of get these kind of quick results out of here, right? And you think about how, especially in the climate we're living in right now, and thinking about how you can do more with less resources and kind of keep the trains running on time. And doing that, I can quickly kind of run that report and see it. I could take it out here and say, hey, what's it look like now for the last 3 months? And the same thing, I'm going to pull up here and I can see exactly what I'm doing for the last 3 months. And I can see, hey, that's 62% here more than I've done in the previous 3 months before that. I want to switch and look at, manhole work that's being completed. Same idea here. I can now see exactly what that's looked like for the last month. So we're about 11% up on manhole work. And how does that compare to the previous 3 months before that as well here too? And kind of quickly get at that information. If I hit create report from here too, that's going to take all this data, bring it out into Excel for me and let me work with that information from there too. So one of the ideas with the reporting here is, how do we create reports that anybody can use, right? Because it's one thing to have a really kind of fancy reporting tool, but if you've got to do 9 steps to get to that report, and you've got to go look at it 7 different ways before you can kind of get to the answer, you're often asking a lot of folks, and you shouldn't have to call your IT person or call your GIS person just because you want to get that report or get that information in there. All right, let me hit a few more questions here on folks. We're kind of bumping up against the time here a little bit, so if you haven't asked your questions yet, go ahead and chime those in. So one of the things I wanted to mention too, right? So you have this, what you're looking at with Sedaru, right, is a complete Sedaru driven work order asset management system in here, right? And Sedaru does a lot of different things, can tie into lots of different systems. One of the ways you can also use Sedaru is we have folks out there that might have a legacy or older work management, asset management system that's sitting out there. And so you can actually tie Sedaru into some of those as well too. So we have folks that say might be using Maximo, right? And they don't love their Maximo field solution and some of the reporting, but they have all of this investment in it. And so Sedaru can actually be integrated directly to those Maximo APIs. And so you can actually use everything you're seeing here, but tied into that Maximo backend. So for some of you like really large utilities and some folks out there like that, that's certainly a really viable option and something that we see a lot from folks. Let's see, how do you perform a major cross-street search or individual address search? So the search capabilities are pretty good. I don't know, let's try them here. I'm not sure what's gonna pop up. I'm just gonna type in, we'll see what pops up here. I I just typed in the word main because I'm pretty sure in this system here there's like a main street or something here. We'll see if it pops up here. And you can, so basically the search is pretty customizable and configurable. It can pull up results on just about anything that you want, or at least it should. This is unfortunately hanging up here. But yeah, the search results guy can, so if I wanted to look up a customer address quickly, if I wanted to find a pipe, I wanted to do that. So here, so this is kind of cool. So I typed in main, found a couple pipes with the word main in it. I've got some FOG sites, 6 FOG sites that have addresses off of Main Street, some industrial pre-seatment sites, and then looks like some permit sites in here as well too. So you can basically have customer addresses, have all those pieces loaded into here, along with manhole IDs and all that, and you basically are just indexing different pieces, and those can show up and be part of the search results that are in here. Let's see, capturing details to an SSO response. Yeah, was somebody asked, can you do that? Sure, absolutely. And different folks kind of handle it differently in terms of how they want to tie it. Sometimes they'll tie that SSO response to a manhole location. Sometimes they'll tie it directly to a customer or an address point. Again, sort of depending on how you want to do that. But all of the information that you're required to, from a regulatory perspective, to capture about that SSO report, you can do right from there as well too. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's see. Can I use the field software for staking purposes, installing new lines or manholes from work orders? Yeah, actually you can. So right from the field software, I can actually add a manhole right from there. And so, or I could add a new customer point or do some of those pieces. And then you have to decide what your workflow looks like for how does that become part of your kind of permanent record. But the idea is that we can enable your field staff so that they can do those things. They can do those pieces right from there as well too. So it's pretty straightforward in there. All right, let's see. Let me just check and see if there's a couple other. Yeah, can I add or add? Yeah, what do I do with completed work orders to edit or add information, right? So a couple things there. So you can, if you have with the appropriate permission. So if I was the person that like created the work order and needed to go back in and edit it, I can do that. And then, you know, you have to have administrator rights and some of those other things if I want to go back into stuff. You also have the ability, you can have a couple different work order statuses in there, so you can enable, you know, sort of more complex workflows a little bit is there too, whether I might complete it and then close something out. I can handle those pieces in here. Yeah, and then another question here around how would that Cctv contractor interface with the software? So again, like, I think what's a pretty cool workflow, right, is you might, let's say you hire a Cctv contractor, right? And that Cctv contractor, your requirement is that they use a NASCO compliant, you know, PACP piece of software to deliver you the data in that way, right? But you want to think about, how am I going to assign them to go to places, right? So I could still very easily come in and say, hey, I want you to go CCTV this particular pipe, and I'm going to come in and then assign a task. So I'll come in here and say, what kind of work type am I doing? You know, I want you to go do a Cctv inspection of this particular pipe segment. You would assign that to that contractor, or whatever login you have assigned to that contractor. They would get that show up, that item would show up on their device. And then they would be able to go ahead and complete it. And you'd have a record that CCTV report was done. And they could even put the inspection ID in from it. And then when you get the data back from them, because it depends how it goes, right? They might be sitting on a DVD in the truck for a week. You know, it might be an online thing. You've got an easy record to kind of match up and have that CCTV inspection item in there. So lots of really good questions from folks. I appreciate the time on here. So everybody that's attended the webinar today, you're going to get a follow-up email from us. you'll have an opportunity to ask questions, if more questions as a follow-up on that. We'd like to reach back out and make sure we got all your questions answered. And so, don't be surprised that you're going to get another email or phone call from us to see if you need any more information. We're happy to do these kinds of demonstrations, for, more personalized for you as well too, and drill into any specific questions that you guys have also. So, I want to thank everybody for spending 30, 40 minutes with us today. And Kate, stay tuned. I think we're going to try to, we're looking at how to do some of these webinars on a more frequent basis here, especially, over the next month to 6 weeks, we'll see how long our ability to get together with, in-person events are. That's certainly steering a lot of things online. So we'll probably ramp up our efforts around doing more of these webinars in the future too. So stay tuned for more information around that. Thanks, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we will talk to you again soon. Thank you.